What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-taper fade on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off by making sure the hair was nice and saturated and everything was combed in place, making sure our canvas is nice and neat. Now we're moving on to our one guard all the way open, and we're creating our first guideline. You want to envision this as your first bald line, but instead of using your trimmers, you're using your one guard all the way open. Now that we're done creating our first guideline with the one guard all the way open, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Make sure to use your comb to feed the hair into the clipper and flick out with your clipper. Make sure to use the lever to soften up this line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Now that we're done softening up the line, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Make sure to use the lever. Sometimes there's still a fade line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using his corners will definitely help. Now we're moving on to our 3 guard all the way open, and we're using the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. This guard is going to help us prepare for our clipper of a comb. Now that we're done with our guards, we can move on to our clipper over comb method and make sure the blend is as smooth as possible. Creating a consistent and neat silhouette is very important, especially when you're using your clipper over comb. There was still a little bit of bulk, and instead of using your clipper over comb and cutting into it, I switched over to my thinning shears and thinned the hair out. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, man. Thank you. Now that we're done with the sides, we can move on to the back, and we're starting off with our 2 guard all the way open. Don't forget, we're using the lever to soften up this line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard, to connect the 1 guard all the way open to the 2 guard all the way open. As you can see here, now I have my 1.5 guard, and I'm right on top of the occipital bone, detailing as much as possible. Switching over to our 3 guard all the way open, we're using our comb to feed the hair into the clipper, and then we're flicking out as much as possible. You do want to leave as much weight as possible near the calic area, just so it could fall down properly, because if you cut it too short, then it will stand up. When you're a barber, you're pretty much sculpting hair, so when you're sculpting the calic area, you want to make sure you leave as much weight and the hair falls down properly, and you don't want to cut into it and make any patches. Now that we're done with the fade, we can move on to the taper. So we're moving on to the back taper, and we're starting off with our gold FX, creating our first guideline. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to slightly close the lever all the way in midway and start attacking that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our second guideline. But since we already cut the bottom to a one guard all the way open, we're going to start off with our lever all the way closed and attack that second guideline. Now that the line is soft enough, we can move on to our half guard and erase the line completely. Sometimes using the half guard doesn't take out the line, so using your no guard all the way open in the corners will definitely help. Here I'm detailing as much as possible with my previous guards, taking out all the dark spots. Now that we're done detailing, we can move on to the ear lineup, and we're using our gold FX to make them as crispy as possible. I'm also starting off at the bottom and working my way to the top arch. Moving on to the side taper, we're starting off by creating our first guideline with our gold FX. He is going to keep the beard, so we're not going to go that far deep into the sideburn. Moving on to our next guideline, we're going to use our no guard all the way open. And then we're going to slightly close the lever, attacking that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Remember, we're going to use this same guard in the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now we're using our two guard all the way open to connect the taper into the top. Remember, we're using the lever and the two guard to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Here I'm using the 1.5 guard to connect the one guard all the way open to the two guard all the way open. Moving on to his C cups, we're starting off at the bottom and working our way to the top arch using the corners of our babyliss. Moving on to the beard, and we're going to knock it down to a 1.5 guard all the way open, which is equivalent to a 2 guard close. The reason why I'm doing this instead of a 2 guard close is because the 1.5 guard all the way open is a lot smaller and I can reach a lot more places. Make sure to always, after you're done debulking the beard, to always start off with our no guard all the way open. Now that we're done lining him up, we can move on to our shear work on top. But before we do that, we're going to make sure the hair is nice and saturated. We're then going to make a guideline throughout the middle of the capitus and also connect it to the sides. You want to make sure you grab even and consistent strokes and you cut nice and evenly. Now that we're done with our shear work, we're going to blow dry the hair and make sure it's dry. Now that we're done with our shear work on top, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're going to use our elegant shave gel so that our razor could glide better. We're also going to be using a hot towel, so before you use the hot towel, you want to make sure you swing it in the air a few times, making sure it's not too hot, and then you place it on their skin. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you leave a comment down below of my subscriber count, I'm 100% going to reply to you. Now when using the razor, you want to make sure you stretch the skin as much as possible with your opposite hand and also keep the razor at a 45-degree angle. This lowers the likelihood of you cutting someone.